How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. It's happening today. We actually have a lot of things happening today. A lot of big news was just announced, and this will definitely change the crypto market. This will change the traditional markets as well. And I was wrong about Mr. 100. Something really interesting just came up. I want to actually show you that because I thought he sold. It looks like he sold on the Bitcoin rich list, but it now looks like he didn't. It actually looks like he just transferred it. Let me show you. I'll explain it though in better detail a little bit further in the video. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos like this. There's a link underneath the video to trade crypto over on Margex. There you can long the market, you can short the market, you can get set up in just a few seconds, and you can trade all different kinds of assets. Okay, let's take a look at this. Japan is allowing their currency to devalue again while the US yield curve is rising, meaning the Japanese carry trade is back on. The carry trade allows firms to borrow cheaply in Japan and use the fresh liquidity to pump US markets. And you can see that today with the NASDAQ up about 1.3% after having a good day yesterday as well. Now, to be clear, we knew this was happening. You can see all this news that came out last night. Market moves are extremely volatile, which watching impact. The Bank of Japan must maintain current degree of easing for time being, etc. But what not everyone saw coming was that a lot of major banks are going to be pushing out ETFs today. We knew this yesterday, but a lot of people have thought that every financial advisor is already out there shilling Bitcoin ETFs. That's not the case. Morgan Stanley is going to begin offering Bitcoin ETFs to clients today. Morgan Stanley is one of the largest asset managers globally with 1.3 trillion in AUM. And they're actively pitching. Trying to sell these to clients. Apparently, $1.9 trillion Wells Fargo also is approving its advisors to pitch Bitcoin ETFs. This is according to reports, so who knows if this happens today or if it's a few days from now. But today is also when the U.S. is starting to print money, $30 billion per month for treasury buybacks. So more stimulus here, more quantitative easing here, lower yen value, higher U.S. dollar value. We're also seeing other smaller companies start to pitch this to clients as well. $13.2 billion Cantor Fitzgerald analyst says, "We believe this is an opportune time to add exposure to Bitcoin ahead of what could be an outsized year of returns for this coming year." We also know Grayscale is now creating new single asset crypto investments, including the BitTensor Trust, or TAO, and Grayscale Sui Trust. Now, Sui, last time I looked, was up about 3% on this. TAO is actually still down a little bit on the day. But I mean, there's more crypto products being offered. There's more pushing of crypto products. Even the first 11 days since launch, BlackRock's ETHA pulled in almost $1 billion, which is a very successful launch. Keep in mind, a lot of that is outflows from Grayscale. But even yesterday, on a day where the BlackRock Bitcoin ETFs were still down, this had a $110 million inflow. And this is after a price dip of 18%. So they're still buying the dip. They're still getting in on it. You can see Solana also making new highs today versus Ethereum. That's a pretty big move in a couple days. I mean, look at this. Over 3 days, this trade, Solana, outperformed by 20%. That is nuts. That's nuts. I mean, Solana's back at 150. Let's take a look here. Solana at 148, up 14%, while Ethereum's down 0.4% at 2,400. So Solana severely outperforming. Now, Mr. 100, I said this in the video this morning. It looks like Mr. 100 dumped about 6,000 Bitcoin. But now there's some more indication that maybe he's not dumping. Maybe he just moved it. The same amount of Bitcoin that he sold was deposited into this wallet address, which is also a top 100 wallet address now, within about 2 hours of leaving this wallet. So maybe it took a couple hours to confirm the transaction or something like that. But I have those right here. Let me show you. So this is the wallet that Mr. 100 has, labeled Mr. 100 now. 2,952 Bitcoin out, 3,000 Bitcoin out, around 450 and 552. If we look over here, around 734, so a couple hours later, we have that exact amount of Bitcoin deposited in. And let's be honest, this actually looks very similar to the other wallet too, like the buying spree. This started around November of 2022. This started buying around, or depositing in, around January 13, so 3 months later. And while there were a couple small sells, or transfers or whatever it is, it's very similar. It's very reminiscent of Mr. 100 wallet, which is just like accumulation. It would be interesting too if all these sells that we thought were happening, I'm not going to do this level of digging, but if these match up with when these deposits were in, like if we look here, 422, 50 Bitcoin, 40. So it doesn't look like it adds up perfectly because this was 1,000 Bitcoin. It looks like maybe it was just a sell, but this does look like a exact transfer over. So who knows why they're doing this? Who knows why he's doing this, whoever this entity is. But I was wrong. It looks like, I said this morning that there's only one reason to buy, but they're all different kinds of reasons to sell. Sometimes the reason to sell is that you're not actually selling. It just looks like it. Maybe you're just moving into a different account, right? Just like at a bank. If you're looking at one account and you see $5,000 go away, well, you think they're using it for something, but maybe they just transferred it to a different account. Let me know your thoughts, though. Let me know your thoughts on Mr. 100 underneath the video. Does this make sense? I think it being the exact Bitcoin amount within a few hours is a pretty telltale sign that he is not selling. Before we get into some news on Saylor and how much Bitcoin he actually has, we talked about N64 a couple hours ago. Since then, it raced up. It is a small market cap, so be careful. It can be volatile, but it raced up about 30%, 40%. Now coming down a little bit, but still up from where we called it just a couple hours ago. Still up about 10% or so. But this is one that I will be also paying attention to because I plan on buying some as well. Now, news on Michael Saylor says Saylor says he personally owns more than $1 billion in Bitcoin. That is a significant amount because remember, he also owns a lot of MicroStrategy. So he owns about 2.4 million shares of MicroStrategy, which at today's price is worth about $3.1 billion. Keep in mind that MicroStrategy is worth more than the Bitcoin that they hold. So Michael Saylor does have multi-billions of dollars of Bitcoin, but this is directly correlated to Bitcoin's price as well. So he has like $4 billion of exposure to Bitcoin. Pretty crazy. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video, though. Let me know what you think about Japan just folding a day after they tried to be, tough and increase interest rates. And they only raised by 0.15%. Keep in mind that is, if you look at the percent that they had or their fund rate, it was 0.1%. So going up to 0.25 is like a 150% increase. So that's a different way of looking at it. And compare that to something like the US, the word on the street is they might decrease by 0.5%, but that's only about 10% of the fund rate. So there is a different way of viewing it, but yeah, Japan just folded right away. We're starting to see RIAs and financial advisors and big companies start pushing Bitcoin on about the same time that we're seeing more quantitative easing from the federal government. We'll probably see some cuts here soon. Overall, it seems like a decent time to be in this market, right? I mean, we are still down significantly from the top. Of course, we did move up very quickly, and we said that on the channel, like, hey, if you don't have Bitcoin and you want to get exposure to Bitcoin, it might make sense, but keep in mind, we have had a vicious rally. We said that the whole time. Now, even with this recent dip and then this recent recovery, we're still down about 24% from the recent high. So still at quite the discount. And keep in mind too, if you move back up to all-time highs, you actually have more than a 24% gain. That's how numbers work. So if we want to get back up to the same price that we were before, it would actually be about a 31, 32% increase. A lot of altcoins would be even higher than that. If this is something that you want to position yourself in with leverage, again, there's that link to Margex underneath the video. Just make sure you know what you're doing. I have several videos on this. Keep in mind too, Bitcoin dominance is going up. I would not be surprised if once we get a little bit higher, if we do see some kind of alt season. But so far, we've just seen such a pooling of money around the best performing assets. I think we're going to see some more resistance after this point. If we can break through a little bit more, I think we're going to see some more resistance approaching 60%. So I would not be surprised if Bitcoin went on a run, or if we do have another dip if Bitcoin severely outperforms. Now, Solana has held up so well that I think that does buoy this a little bit, or it keeps it, maybe not buoy, it does the opposite. It holds it down a little bit, but Ethereum has just been so poor against Bitcoin this year. It has been a good time to be Bitcoin heavy, and I've been talking about how I'm very Bitcoin heavy for the last year and a half, or maybe even 2 years at this point, since the bear market. Now, if you want to follow me, if you want to know what I'm buying and selling, to be honest, I haven't been buying and selling a ton in crypto recently. But if you want to know what I'm buying or selling in crypto and in the stock market, there's a link to Patreon. If you want to check out Margex, there's a link to that as well underneath the video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.